Hello, and welcome to Sip Sip Hooray, a podcast dedicated to wine and the incredible people who make it, and of course, the rest of us who like to drink it and enjoy it. Today's podcast features a winemaker whose backstory is unlike any we've heard before. We are excited to get to know her better, and we know you're going to love her and her wines as well. We are two Marys who like to eat, drink, and be merry. I am Mary Babbitt.
And I am the other Mary, Mary Orlin. And today we are going to talk with a woman whose perseverance has really taken her from war-torn Bosnia to one of the most beautiful wine-growing regions in California. I'm talking about Samra Morris, who is the winemaker at Alma Rosa Winery in the Santa Rita Hills in the Santa Barbara wine country. Her journey from bullets to getting educated in Bosnia to coming to the United States and being mentored by some of the most amazing people in the wine industry has taken her on this incredible path to wine. And we are so excited to introduce you to Samra Morris. Samra, welcome to Sip Sip Hooray.
Thank you, Mary, for having me today. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
That's terrific. So, all right. So you grew up in Bosnia. Let's talk about that because I believe you are the first and only Bosnian winemaker here in California.
Yes, that is correct. I am the only one.
So how did you get here? And how did that happen from, what was first, I guess we'd like to know, what was it like growing up in Bosnia and how fortunate do you feel to have survived it and found this new life here in America?
Yeah, I think I always tell to people when they meet me and everything, I was like, they're like, oh, you're the first Bosnian I ever meet. I was like, I'm the luckiest Bosnian you ever meet also. So, yeah, I mean, life can be interesting. I always say I always go back thinking about my childhood and what happened and being today, as you mentioned, in Santa Rita Hills in a beautiful Santa Barbara County and enjoying your life and making wine.
Mm-hmm. That's really incredible. So when you were growing up, tell us, as I think you were a young girl when war broke out in Bosnia, tell us what it was like growing up in that situation. Because I believe your father was involved in the war efforts on the front lines. If you could tell us a little bit about that too.
Yes, totally. War started when I was 7 years old. War started April, and I started my first grade in August in a basement and hiding. So I believe like a totally different childhood than anybody else had it. And you live every day with the grenades shooting, running the streets where sniper is shooting every day. Plus living without water, electricity, heat. And yes, my dad was part of the army protecting us. So my mom and I would be most of the time by ourselves.
Wow.
Trying to go through life every day.
I'm wondering, based on that experience, you probably had a different perspective on the pandemic that we're experiencing and hopefully coming out of now. But in terms of understanding what hardship and sacrifice looks like, I think the pandemic took all of us by surprise, and many of us have had to kind of look inward and say, gee, my plans are changed. I'm not living the life I would have been normally living. Yeah. And that's kind of how you grew up, right? You understood hardship from the get-go.
Yeah, totally. You're a kid and one day you're playing with your toys, enjoying life. And the other day your life is like, what is this? Yeah. Like, I don't even know what's happening. But yeah, I believe that experience teach me to look at life completely different and to appreciate every day. And I always say, people always tell me like, do you age your wine? I was like, never. I never know when I can die.
That is fascinating.
I don't know what it can happen. I saw a lot of things as a kid. So it's like, you never know.
Why wait?
That is a totally different perspective on whether or not to age your wine. Wow. Yeah. But so obviously the war eventually did end. And then how did you decide that you were going to study? I was reading that you studied fermentation sciences, and you went into beer making first.
Yes. So yeah, after finishing high school, I was just like a little bit lost, teenager, didn't know what I want. And my parents suggested this college to study, and I liked it. So it was food sciences, and yeah, with my bachelor's, I was interested in brewing. And yeah, I did an internship at the end of the bachelor's in a brewery in Sarajevo, and I just didn't like the smell anymore, and it was it just didn't like smell the beer anymore. And then I was like, okay, this is not for me. And then with my master's, I got more involved with the winemaking, start more being teaching, learning from our professor of phenology, and start to be fascinated with the wine, like with the chemistry, with the aging, with everything that comes with it. And I knew it at that moment. Okay, this is what I want to be.
And
That's
fantastic.
yes.
So I think for a lot of people who probably are surprised to know that you actually studied and learned how to make wine in Bosnia. I don't think they put a connection between Bosnia and wine, but there is a wine history in the country, isn't there?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, a lot of people, oh, you're from Bosnia? You guys make wine? And I always joke, yes, only 2,000 years.
just a hint of experience.
I always joke, go on a joke side. But yes, we have our own varietals, and we have Žilavka, which is our white wine varietal, and Blatina is our red wine. And the southern part of our country is the wine growing region. And we've been having tradition of winemaking.
Interesting. So you came to the U.S. in, I want to say, is it 2013 with your husband? Tell us how that came about and where you ended up.
So yeah, my husband is the Air Force military, and he's Californian. And we dated when I was back at home. He was stationed in Sarajevo while my studies. And when I finished studies, we decided to get married. And he was stationed, luckily for me, in Travis Air Force Base, which is 30 minutes away from Napa. So I felt like, wow, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe I'm going to the right spot to learn about winemaking.
That is really lucky, because you had been studying. You went from beer to wine and then to end up in a wine growing region here in the U.S. just based on your husband's military transfer is incredible.
Yes, he could be transferred anywhere and just happens to be in Travis Air Force Base. So I was like, wow, yes.
Yes, so you've had many instances of luck throughout your career then.
I do. Somebody's taking care of me very well.
So once you come to California, Northern California, how did you get into the wine industry, and where did you start out? How did you start?
So yeah, I didn't know like how to start, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start in the tasting rooms just to learn more and to see how region works. I didn't know anybody. Mm-hmm. So actually, general manager of Alma Rosa Winery, Deborah Eagle, is the one who gave me first job in the States. I worked for the Heston tasting room, and while working in Heston, I met Thomas Rivers Brown, and that's how everything with the winemaking starts for me. I did 3 harvests with him, and that's where my all winemaking, I think, influence come.
Well, Thomas Rivers Brown is one of the most well-regarded winemakers and consultants in Napa Valley and wine country. So that must have been an incredible education for you working with him. What was that like?
Oh, yeah, it was super fun. I mean, working with all the brands that he made and all the different cabs that I had opportunity to taste and learn so much about everything in the cellar, what's going on. I was pretty impressionate, and I just wanted to learn everything.
Yeah, a big sponge. I'm curious,
yes.
Before we go on about the winemaking experience that you went on to have, I'm curious what you learned about the American wine consumer when you were working in the tasting room. Like, so here you are new to the States and like working in a tasting room. What kind of things did you learn about what people want or what the business was going to be like in the US?
Yeah, I think actually like that gave me, like, today as a winemaker, I'm very thankful that I did a tasting room, because it gives me different perspective and how to approach to our customers. So yeah, I loved working in a tasting room. It was fun meeting people all over the states and seeing how people from different states are like little countries, so different.
True.
So yeah, yeah, it was always fun. I learned people from New York are always fast and they do things fast comparing to California. They're a little bit more laid back and want to take their time. So yeah, I had always fun and people were always amazing and nice.
And Samra, how does that compare to the wine culture in Bosnia? Do wineries there also have tasting rooms that are open to the public?
So yeah, I was just like when I was still studying, like everything else in Bosnia after war, it took a time to build up. And I think at the moment when I was still back at home, we had old wineries, people trying to rebuild. But now that I'm following wineries back at home, they start catching up with the States, and I'm very excited about it. You can see they're opening tasting rooms, they're more approachable to audience. So that makes me very happy that my country is going in a good direction as well.
Yeah, it's smart. People, it's more than a beverage. It's kind of a lifestyle, and people, it's a unique product in that people want to know more about how it's made and where it comes from and the terroir and everything about it. So nice that that Bosnia is getting behind that notion of having these tasting rooms. After you left Heston, you went on to St. Supery, and was that also with Rivers Brown?
No, that was with the culture internship. I did them in a vineyard with Saint Superi Winery.
Okay.
And then after that, I started Harvest 2014 with Thomas Rivers Brown.
Okay. And then you also went on and worked at Michael Mondavi Family Wines and Free Flow Wines. I mean, you've done it all from lab work to viticulture to winemaking.
Yeah, totally. And wine in a cans as well at Free Flow. So yeah, it was all of them are different experiences, and I learned so much, and it was exciting everywhere I went. Something new.
Tell us what the difference is in making wine that goes into a bottle versus wine that's going to be canned.
Yeah, well, before I start canning, I was always like seeing how bottling is such a hard experience for all of us in wine industry. And once I did the canning, I was like, oh, bottling is super easy.
Oh, really?
That's funny.
Yeah. I appreciate cans much more to learn how amazing product is and how much the lid and a can, how they have to be perfectly sealed.
Mm-hmm.
And different sulfur levels, different acid has to be in a can. So it's been a fun experience to learn. And I believe right before when I left, we start testing cans just specifically made for wine.
Okay. So well, that's, you would think that, canning wine would be so much easier.
Well, so based on a beer model, it would seem that it is, because breweries do it all the time. But and certainly the canned wine industry has taken off in the U.S. I'm not sure it's where everybody wants it to be yet. Like, I don't know that you'd find your fine bottle in a can yet, but I think we're getting better at it.
Yeah, totally. I believe so. Quality is getting better and better. And I think the good thing about cans, you can take it anywhere.
True.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun. You can put it in the fridge and just take it to the beach.
Right, right.
So just jumping a little bit ahead, I mean, do you foresee canned wines in the future at Alma Rosa?
At this point, we're mostly focused on we're a very small production. Mm-hmm. And we're mostly focused on our high-end Pinots and Chardonnays, which production is 250 to 400 cases. Mm-hmm. And maybe once when we start growing more and more, we see ourselves doing cans, but we will see.
Mm-hmm. Well, so yeah, that brings us to Alma Rosa, where you are the winemaker now. And Alma Rosa, is that pink soul? Is that the definition of Alma Rosa?
So we are in a Santa Rosa Road.
Yes.
So Alma, we are the soul of Santa Rosa
Road. Okay. There it is. I like that.
Yeah.
So the winery was founded by, a California wine pioneer, Richard Sanford and his wife. And so you step into a renowned winery, and it's both exciting and I imagine maybe a little scary. It's such a well-known name and with high expectations on what they produce. How is that for you, being the winemaker there?
Yeah, I think, as you say, it is a little bit scary because it's a lot that I have to take on me now after Richard Sanford, and but on the other side, it's exciting to build a story for myself and seeing Richard being so supportive of me.
That's great. I've had the pleasure of meeting Richard several times and even having a picnic lunch with him at the El Habali Vineyard, which is the Alma Rosa State Vineyard. He is, I was telling Mary Babbitt, the nicest person in the entire wine industry. He is just such a gentleman and so gracious and yet so knowledgeable and so humble.
Yeah, I totally agree with it. I love talking to Richard. It's always fun. He's actually coming today to taste my barrel samples 20 vintage. So it's always
nice.
exciting to talk to him. And
please tell.
Go ahead.
Please tell him Mary Orland says hello.
I will, definitely.
So, Richard sold the winery to Bob and Barb Zorick, and they're continuing on with his traditions and really focused on the terroir of the Santa Rita Hills. Can you tell us what's so special about that wine growing region? Like what's the magic there?
It's people.
Yeah, people.
And it's definitely a very unique region. And what makes us so special is the mountains that shifts. Instead of going south to north, they shifts and going east to west. So we have this beautiful breeze that comes from the Pacific Ocean and give us this beautiful cool climate and a morning fog that is perfectly grown for Pinots and Chardonnays and also Rhone varietals. And it is also our soils that we had millions and millions years of marine layers in our soils that gives that specific minerality and saltiness.
And I think it's that saltiness that is really a hallmark of the Santa Rita Hills.
I totally agree. I love it. It makes our wines just so amazing.
For sure. So you alluded to this a little bit, but I'm really interested. So how do you, what is the mark you want to put on Alma Rosa, your own mark, and how do you go about doing that?
I believe by making wines that are vineyard driven. I fall in love with each vineyards I work with, and I figure out how unique they are and how special they are. So I'm trying to always whatever I go and see in a vineyard and taste in the grapes to put in a bottle. And I hope that's what I want to represent to our customers.
So go ahead.
Is the uniqueness of each vineyard.
Yes. And I was just going to say, sorry to interrupt you there, but I was going to say to our listeners who don't know Alma Rosa Winery, perhaps you guys are focused on Pinot Noir primarily and Chardonnay, some Syrah and Grenache. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. We harvested our first Syrah and Grenache from our own estate, El Habli, in 2019.
And Samra, so the 2019 vintage, your first vintage, you just released that. What's that like for you?
Oh, yeah, it is the most exciting moment probably in my life. I think bottling was when you make the wine in the cellar, you have harvest and, you're doing it, you're so busy during harvest, long hours, you don't realizing what's happening because you just want to, do the harvest. There's so much going on. But once when I put my wine in the bottles was probably the most exciting moment. It's like, oh, okay, this is my wine. People is going to drink my wine.
It's so cool. It's sort of like the author who gets the copy of their book bound, as it goes to press. You get and that feeling of like, oh, this is me inside the covers of this book, or in your case, inside this bottle is my heart and soul.
Exactly. Your hard work, your passion for the wine, and it's exciting to share with the people.
Sure. But and Alma Rosa also makes a number of white wines, which I was able to taste earlier this year. Can you tell us about those different varieties?
Yes, totally. So we make from our estate Chardonnay, and our Santa Rita Hills Chardonnay, and we also make Pinot Blanc and Pinot Gris from our from the La Encantada vineyard.
Yeah, those are beautiful wines. From what I remember of tasting them, they're just so crisp and bright, and have this beautiful zestiness, but again have that minerality and that saltiness.
Yes, totally.
Can you talk to us also about I know you guys are, sustainable farming is important to you at Alma Rosa. Tell me about what that means for you and I guess the extra layers. Does it add extra layers of work trying to be environmentally careful and sustainable?
Of course, totally. You're more detail oriented. You're watching what will you use in vineyard. So yeah, there's a lot of, I always say how much passion and hard work you put in cellar. I always believe the most important part happens in a vineyard, and it is health of our wines, being nice to our soils, while thinking what's going to happen with the climate changes and learning. And yeah, it's definitely.
Alma Rosa had the first certified organic vineyard in the El Habali vineyard, yes? In Santa Barbara County,
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, Richard.
He was out in front of that whole thing early.
Yes, totally. And he's a true believer in organic, sustainable. And we all at Alma Rosa are trying to follow that steps and just try our best to grape healthy grapes and take care of our environment and see what future brings to us.
That's great. So tell us what it's been like during the pandemic for all of you at Alma Rosa, how it impacted winemaking. Certainly, I'm sure it impacted how you sold the wine, and not being able to have visitors at your tasting room.
Yeah, I think it affected sales side than it actually affected my cellar side. Actually, for me, it was like good escape to go in a cellar and forget what's going on outside. And you're just taking care of your wines. So yeah, I went to work every day, enjoying cellar work. But yeah, definitely affected our sales, different approach to try to go out to market and sell your wines and try to survive. So yeah, it was a lot of challenges, but I believe now that everything's going back to normal, that we made it and we're looking forward to the future.
And as you look at we're in California, we are experiencing a drought year. How does that impact you guys? Does that worry you that we're already, we're in May, but we've already had some really hot days? As a winemaker, are you guys looking at the sky and worried at all? Or is it just, another year, another challenge?
I believe both. It's like, yes, we're in drought. And of course, I believe mostly to our viticulturist, Mike Anderson gives a lot of pain to him than to us. But yeah, it's another year, another challenge. We love California. We make amazing wines in whole California, but there's a lot of challenges that we have to deal with as being viticulturists and winemakers here. So we just have to go and approach with it and try to do our best.
So the folks you learned winemaking from in Bosnia, are they aware of what you're doing in California?
Yes, totally. I spoke with my professors at university, and it's very exciting for them to know what I achieved here in California. It's a big deal. Back at home.
What about your family? Is any of your family here in the States, or are they all in Bosnia?
All of my family is back at home, some in Bosnia, some in Germany. Yeah, so they are very proud of me and all of my achievements I made in California. And I hope they come soon to visit me.
And is your husband still in the military? Are you still, there's no threat of getting transferred to a different base?
No, so my husband just retired in February from military, so no transfers.
Okay.
So that's good.
Yes.
That's a lucky thing.
Yes.
But even that world, though, is a very to know the military community. That's a really tight-knit community. And so I'm sure coming to the United States, that probably helped being part of that community. And now you're in a different sort of community, the wine community. Do you find it, we often hear from people that the wine world is small when you're in it, and that people help each other out. Have you felt that as you have come up through the California wine industry, that people have been there to help you? I know you mentioned, was it Thomas Rivers Brown and Deborah Eagle, but that community feeling, have you felt that?
Oh yeah, totally. It's always helpful, and when people see how hard you work and how passion you have, people are willing to help you. And I also work with Tony Biaggi, which is my consulting winemaker, and it's so much fun and so much support I get from him, being young winemaker, that helps me a lot.
Sure. And Tony is another name that's very well known in winemaking circles, and has consulted on and made some beautiful wines. And Venice Publications just named him Winemaker of the Year.
Yes.
So you hang out with some pretty interesting, talented winemakers.
I know I do. Yeah, I'm just so grateful to have opportunity to learn from one of the best in winemaking.
What have you learned from them, and from Tony specifically?
From Tony, well, he's always there for me. Like being young winemaker, you always have challenges. It's a lot of pressure sometimes on you. It can be a lot, but he's there for me to always help me make myself stronger. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned a lot in a winemaking from him. And, just walking to the vineyards, going in a cellar, I feel like it's always, every day you're learning something in a wine industry. You never stop learning. And from him, having so many years of so much experience and knowledge, he's like a knowledge book. So it's amazing to have opportunity to learn everything from him.
And what kind of stuff are you guys doing right now in the vineyards? It is spring. So what's happening for you in your work world?
So yeah, we're just waiting for our grapes to start flowering. So going through vineyards, taking walks, it's beautiful. We have those yellow, I'm not sure, is they're calling, what's the name of the plants, but they're all yellow around our
mustard.
hills. Mustard, yeah. So we have them everywhere. So just enjoying this quiet, I would say, for me, time in a vineyard. And in a cellar, we just finished some blends and slowly preparing for bottlings and harvest.
Great. And you said you're going to be barrel tasting some things with Richard today. What are you doing that for?
He's just coming for fun to taste my wines. It was COVID and he wasn't able to come. So now that we both are vaccinated, he's coming to see what I did in 2020 and just chat and
nice.
enjoy.
I love that he still wants to be involved and know what's going on. And I am so glad that you're both vaccinated and that you can start to relax a little bit. Hey, you know what thing I wanted to ask you about? I noticed on your website that Alma Rosa has made a philanthropic commitment to mental health issues, from like awareness to mental health treatments. You guys have donated proceeds to the issues. I think there was even a Peace of Mind walk organized by you guys. Tell me how Alma Rosa selected mental health as a philanthropic focus.
Yes, totally. So our owners, Bob and Barb Zorich, are very committed to the concerns in today's society about anxiety and depression that is happening. And they wanted to start this fundraise in 2020. And it's supposed to be, it's a peace of mind, 10,000 steps in the right direction that's supposed to happen in a vineyard. And we will walk and raise money for 2 different organizations. And it is mental wellness center and One Mind. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we weren't able to do the vineyard walk, but we did virtual event last year for the first time in September. And our goal was $100,000 when we raised $144,000.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It is. We were very pleased. And this year, this is the month of mental health awareness, and we're doing a 10% of sales from our wines to this cause as well.
That's wonderful. Good for you guys.
Thank you. And in July 24th, we're gonna be able to do the walk in a vineyard and start a new.
The actual Peace of Mind walk will happen with people. Yay!
Yes. So you can have two options. You can do virtually, and you can come join us and walk with us.
That's cool that you can do it virtually, because people might want to participate, but maybe they can't travel. They live on the other side of the country.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's neat.
Yes, so, and you can start a fundraiser with your friends, and it can be little competition, healthy competitions, like who can raise more. So it's fun.
Oh, that's great. So for folks who are listening who have not been to your tasting room yet, can you tell us about it? Because it's a really unique tasting room, and I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, totally. So our tasting room is in Bilton, right next to Industrial Eats. And yeah, when I saw it, I was just, oh my God, this is gorgeous. It's beautiful tasting room. And we offer tastings in our tasting room. And also we have our ranch where we do private tastings. So there's two options. Whoever wants to come and join us are more than welcome.
Oh, that's nice. So one major feature of your tasting room is that beautiful tree. Remind me what type of tree that is. Is it an olive tree?
Yes, we have olive tree in our tasting room.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of the tasting room.
Yes. It's pretty impressive. And
our tasting room staff has named them, but I forgot what was the name, but it was funny. They were talking about something. I was like, what are you talking about? Olive tree. I was like, oh, okay.
That's funny.
So for people not from the area, Buellton is right off Highway 101, and you're not far from Solvang, which that is a cute little touristy Danish town in the middle of the mountains there. So if you were going up the coast from Santa Barbara towards San Francisco, Buellton is about an hour out of Santa Barbara, and that's where the tasting room is.
And Samra, since so the tasting room Samra mentioned is next to something called Industrial Eats, which is an awesome restaurant, very casual, sandwiches, salads, pizzas. So Samra, I have to ask you, do you have any favorites at Industrial Eats?
Totally. It's a skirt steak pizza. I love that.
Yum. That sounds really good.
You must try that. It's amazing.
Nice. So as you're bottled your first vintage for Alma Rosa, what are the things you're looking forward to as you look ahead at Alma Rosa? Do you have any goals that you've set for yourself?
Yeah, of course. I think with the first vintage coming out, just introduce myself to people and try to build a relationship with our customers and represent my idea of what I'm trying to achieve with our wines and have them enjoy it, and looking forward to our future because we're growing. So that is very exciting, and it's always something new. And for me, this challenge this year is making sparkling for the first time. So I'm looking forward to it. I think that's another achievement.
Oh, that's fun.
For me.
Yeah, that's a big endeavor, taking on sparkling. That's exciting. And it's a lot of work, as we know from previous wine stories we've done. It requires a lot of, not babysitting, but it's a needier. it's not just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is completely different than having wines in barrels and taking care of them. So it's exciting to learn that side of winemaking. And
yes, absolutely. And speaking of growing, you guys are building a new winery?
That is correct. We are building our winery in our estate. We have over 600 acres of property, and 38 acres is planted mostly with Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, and also Syrah and Grenache. And we are planning to build a winery there. So I hope within a few years, our production will be together with the vineyard.
Oh, I bet it's going to be spectacular. That's a big project, but how cool will that be to have it right there at the estate vineyard?
Yes, so I get to enjoy vineyard too. Now when it's a little bit too far, it's like, I don't get to enjoy every day this beauty.
Right. So looking forward to fall and the coming vintage, what are you hoping for?
I just hope when I release my white wines and rosés, I'm very pleased that I got from the journalists and critics and our customers very positive thoughts. So I'm looking forward to everybody tasting my Pinots and see how they gonna feel about those. And I hope I will get the same reaction as I got for my whites.
I have little doubt. You have a ton of great experience and a wonderful host of wine biggies behind you, believing in you. So they can't all be wrong. There's we know that
Yes,
it's going to be good stuff, no doubt.
Yeah.
yeah.
And, Samra, I think you've set a really great example for, you've stayed in touch with Deborah Eagle all this time. And she, really helped bring you along. And I think the importance of maintaining relationships, even from early in your career, can really help further you along and end up somewhere where you may not have ever even imagined.
No, totally. Yeah, it is amazing. I worked with Deborah. She always wanted me to be in sales, but I decided to go production. But yeah, she always followed me, supported me, and I always stay in touch with her, telling her what's happening with me. And she brought me here, and it's amazing that she gave me this opportunity.
And the fact that you are Bosnian, do you think that's helped you, hurt you, or been a neutral? Like, do you feel like that you had a bigger learning curve not being born in the U.S., or has it been pretty fluid? I know you studied in your home country, but do you feel like the Bosnian piece of you has added to what you're doing, or has it been this kind of learning curve for you?
Oh, I would say both. Like, I think the hardest thing was challenge at the beginning was language.
Mm-hmm.
Like being in cellar, sometimes not understanding what they're saying, or it's like, oh, and I go home, I translate it, just like, oh, I know what they meant with this. So I would say language, but everybody was always super nice and helpful, whoever I work with, and understanding. And sometimes when I don't pronounce words right, we always would laugh and it will always make fun of it. So yeah, I think it was learning. I needed to learn. It's a different style of living, different everything. And then the other side is like being Bosnian, only Bosnian. It's kind of also positive thing to achieve this.
Yeah, absolutely. And you should, congratulations, because your English is fantastic. And that can't be an easy thing to take on a whole new language. I'm guessing you probably are learning some Spanish along the way too, yes?
Yes, I do. I'm trying my best. Yeah, it's always fun to learn different languages. So yeah, I'm trying to learn some Spanish. I can understand mostly, but it's hard to speak.
Yes, I hear you. See, I agree. But a lot of the vineyard workers and some of the experts in vineyard management are native Spanish speakers. So I could see where it would be handy to have it.
Yeah, totally. I am trying my best to learn as much as I can.
Well, you have had such an incredible journey in wine and in your life. And it's just so exciting to see you having your debut vintage with Alma Rosa. And it seems that you have found the spot that really suits you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I believe so. Yeah, I'm more than happy, and that it ended up this way to me, and being part of Alma Rosa. It's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to the future of Alma Rosa and Santa Rita Hills. I think winery and region is amazing, very special. So I hope more and more people will find out about us.
Absolutely. Hey, when you're not working, what do you like to do? What are your other interests besides wine?
I go to beach.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
Good for you. I don't get there enough, but I sure love it.
Yeah, go hiking, go to beach. There's so many beautiful spots in Santa Barbara County that you can do that I feel like I did so much and I still didn't do any half of it, how much I have to.
It is spectacularly beautiful there. I mean, it is truly one of the most incredible places in the world. So you are lucky indeed. But,
yes.
Well, we are so pleased to have this chance to get to know you better, and thank you for taking the time with us. Congratulations on your first vintage with Alma Rosa. We're really excited to not only try that, but to see what else comes along the way for you. And I know all good things are headed your way.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Right. And so we hope everybody who's listening will seek out your wines and visit when they get the opportunity. And, it's just been a delight getting to know you, and your perseverance and your attitude are just incredible.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
The winery is Alma Rosa Winery, and you can find it at almarosa.com. Well, Samra, thank you again. We really appreciate it. And cheers to you, continued success, and sip, sip, hooray.
Yes. Cheers, ladies.
Cheers to you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Well, Mary Babbitt, Samra is such an inspirational person. I mean, I'm so touched by her story, her perseverance to grow up the way she did and to keep pursuing life and not giving up. And, it couldn't have been easy coming to this country, even though she had a partner to do it with, but to make her way in the wine world. Just incredible how she has managed to go through all this. And she has such a great attitude and such a joyous outlook on life.
Absolutely. Samra Morris is definitely a name you will continue to hear as a renowned winemaker, and the winemaker now at Alma Rosa Winery. So we were just super duper happy to get to know her better. Very, very easygoing person and just a hard worker, you can tell. And I love the fact that she has been able to lean on people who are helping her, like Tony Biaggi, and she trusts in other people and their expertise, and that whole idea of everyone kind of lending a hand. I love that.
I do too, and that's what's so great about the wine industry. People are so willing to share what they know.
Yeah, that collaborative spirit is really cool.
Well, we are so happy that you've shared your time listening to our podcast and listening to Samra's story. If you want more information, head to our website, sipsiphoooraypodcast.com, and there you can see all the different platforms that we are available on. And we hope you will subscribe to our podcast on whichever platform you listen to.
Right. And definitely share it with your friends. If you like what you hear, please let other people know about it too. That helps us. And we also love hearing from you. You can follow us on social media. We are Sip Sip Hooray Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and Sip Sip Hooray 1 on Twitter.
Yes. So we hope you join us for our next exciting episode, and to listen to other episodes we've done recently. They're all on our website. So, Mary Babbitt, it's been another great episode getting to know somebody just really fantastic. That's what our show is all about, introducing you to the coolest, most interesting, fun people in the wine industry.
Absolutely. So come back for more peeks behind the label, like the label of Alma Rosa. And congratulations again to Samra Morris on her first vintage with them. Mary Orland, cheers to you, girl. Sip, sip, hooray.
Cheers to you, Mary Babbitt. Sip, sip, hooray. Right back at you.
Cheers.